Holiday here. Welcome to the page. What we're going to be talking about today is something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is power while you're without power. So that we're going to go over some new stuff that we have. We're going to go over some stuff we've been using, and this is primarily geared at those of you who have phones to charge while you're camping, overlanding, just in general, tailgating, stuff like that. You have drones, camera gear, a laptop. You know, a lot of us are working remotely right now. So what are some things we can do to keep all that stuff powered? So I'm going to go over again some of the options we've been using, some of the options that are new to us, like this Midland PPG1000, and show you some of the things you can power with it. So stick with us and let's get organized. So the first thing that we need to talk about before you get into power options are, what are you going to be powering? Like, what is your load? What are the things you're going to need to do? And that was hard for us. You know, we had never done this before. I'm not an electrician. I'm not in tune with how much power different things consume. So we just kind of guessed when we started, as I know a lot of you probably do, because when you start getting into things like these and circuits and load and, you know, expensive batteries and what do all those take, a lot of times you just don't know, right? You want to plan for the worst and hope for the best. So what we started off with is while we're camping and you don't have power, what are the things you need to charge? So for us, you know, the easy thing was our phones. So, you know, you can buy those little portable battery packs. They're about the size of this old school iPod Touch or whatever this thing is. But they're about this size, and you know, they just got a couple of USB ports in it. You plug them in, you know, with an iPhone cable, and you just plug them into your, you know, into that battery bank, and you can charge your phone maybe one time, maybe two, and that's enough for, you know, a day or two. But sometimes if you're going to be out on the trail for a while, or you're going to be out just camping in general for a while, or you're going to be tailgating all day and you want to make sure all your buddies can charge their stuff up, you need more than, you know, a little battery bank. So what we went to is the next cheapest thing. I already used the Milwaukee M18 battery packs for my tools. I got several tools that use these, and I have these in varying sizes, right? This is a 5.0. I have extended life 6.0s, extended life 9.0s. I also have some very small 3.0s that we use for like an impact gun or my grease gun for the Kubota. So what they have though is they have these little packs. I think these are like $30. They have an on-off switch. They have a power port that you can charge, or that you can power Milwaukee's like heated jackets and stuff. And they have a USB port. So one of these on one of these batteries, and you just plug and play, right? Snaps on there, and voila, you got a power station. They also make a power inverter that goes on these. It's like a 150 watt power inverter, and you know, then it gives you that 110 volt plug on top. So we use the USB one. Obviously, you just plug the USB into there and go to your phone. And look at this, look how old this thing is. It doesn't even have the same plug. You go to your phone, and it obviously gives you, you know, this will give you 7 or 8 charges on your phone. So very helpful, but all you can use that for right now is just USB, right? So our needs grew. We decided that we wanted some lighting, you know, some of these things that kind of go around your campsite or your tailgating tent or anything like that. And we moved on from these little Milwaukee batteries, and we still bring these with us. You know, the kids will charge their iPads. I think we have 2 of these and probably 7 or 8 batteries. But the kids will charge their iPads and stuff in the bottom section of the CBT tent, and they work great for that, right? But for lighting, and when you need to power multiple things, especially like your recharge cycles overnight, you need something bigger. So what we went with next is we went with a Jackery 500. If you're not familiar with the Jackeries, these are awesome. They're night and day better than something like this. They're night and day better than those little tiny battery banks that you guys are familiar with. Just in terms of power, in terms of versatility, and in terms of just overall use, right? So This can run off of solar. I have 120 watts of solar that I'll use for this and the new Midland. It has DC power, USB power, and it also has AC. One nice thing about the Jackery is when you turn the unit on, it gives you your percentage, but it also will tell you how much solar input and output you're getting, or solar input and then power output you're using when you're using the device, right? So, if I were to plug this in to an AC outlet, I think it brings in around 89 volts or 89 watts, I'm sorry. And when you're using it, depending on what you're using, it'll show you what your actual burn is. So, if you have it plugged in to solar and you're pulling down 30 watts of solar and you have 2 cell phones plugged in, you're probably burning 20 watts of power charging those 2 phones, 20, 25. You're eventually going to charge it, maybe, during the daylight, but you're not going to make a lot of progress. So, it's one of those things where what we'll do is we'll charge this all day. We'll just let it sit in the sun, and then we'll charge our devices all night, and then the next day we'll start the process over again. And it just sits there, and you can use it while you're charging, right? So, but it's got one AC outlet, it's got 3 USB ports, and it's got a 12-volt cigarette lighter with a couple of other miscellaneous DC plugs. Jackery also has a light on the side, which is, I thought it was kind of gimmicky until we're camping, and it makes a great flashlight. If you hold it like this and go walk around and camp with it, if you're going from place to place, you're going to see your friends and it's dark outside at another campsite, you don't have to find a flashlight to bring with you, especially if you're charging your phone while you're hanging out anyway. Just bring the Jackery with you, turn on the light, and you got light on the way there and on the way back. So Jackery was our next thing. We used this all summer. What we'll do is we'll plug our CVT tent LED lights into here. We'll plug 2 or 3 phones into here and get them charging all night, and we'll plug a laptop into here and get that charging all night. And in the morning we'll wake up with 40 or 50% of the battery still left. So it's a stout unit. It works great. It's not real rugged. You're not going to throw this in the back of your truck and hope for the best, right? You gotta keep it out of the weather. If it's raining outside, don't bring it outside. So it's it's like a, I don't know, it's like a toaster, right? You're not gonna leave a toaster and use a toaster in the rain. Don't use this in the rain. Bad things will happen. So, but the Jackery, these are great. If I had it to do all over again for a starting system, these cost about $500, and most of this stuff, when you look at pricing, it's about $1. It's about $1 a watt. So if this is 1,000 watts, these cost about $1,000. This is 500 watts, they cost about $500. So every once in a while you'll have some sales. Like the reason I bought this one right now is because they're having a killer sale. It's like half price. But we bought this one and it's great. We use it all the time. So taking that down, let's talk about this new thing here. So I picked this up Black Friday. They were having a sale, Midland was, and it may still be going on. I think it is. These are normally $1,000 or $1,100, and right now they're $500 off. And I have a coupon code through Midland, and I believe that gave me an extra 20%. So I used my own coupon code, and I got this down to under $500. I actually bought this 1,000-watt system for cheaper than I bought the Jackery, and it's basically double the power. This is not a sponsored video. I paid for this with my own money. It was something that I had been looking for a long time. Like I said, I do have a discount code with Midland, but this is not a sponsored video. Midland is a great partner of my Sergeant Crush Jeep build. I run the 275 GMRS radio, their low profile antenna. I have 2 sets of X talkers that I keep one in my truck and I keep one in the Jeep. You never know when you're going to need them. If somebody needs help, or you're on the side of the road and you got to go get something, it's good to have comms at all times. So I do have some other Midland gear. I also have an old school Midland CB that I've had for several years. But back to this PPG1000. The reason I bought this is because there are mornings when you're camping, overlanding, whatever, and you want a cup of coffee. And it sounds stupid, but you can't do it if it's raining outside, right? You're not going to get outside, and at least I'm not, and get soaking wet just to make a cup of coffee. So what I wanted is a 1,000-watt system so I could run a 600, 700, 800 watt coffee maker or anything else. This thing will run, if we're going tailgating, this has some stats on the side of this box here. It'll run an LED TV for 17 hours. That's a long time, right? That's a full day of tailgating and then some. It'll run a mini fridge for 19 hours, a CPAP machine for 13 hours. So if you're a truck driver, right, or you're camping, and you have to use that CPAP at night, and you don't want to let your vehicle run, or whatever, or you don't have power, just plug it in here and you get 13 hours, right? So if you use this all night and then keep this in your vehicle charging while you're driving all day, you never run out of power, right? You always have it at nighttime. It says laptop 15 hours, so that's 15 hours of charge time, and then plus you have your battery that you just charged in your laptop, and mine runs for 4 or 5 hours. So that's probably 2 or 3 days worth of work that you can get out of it. 157 hours of smartphone charging, so think about that. That's astronomical. And you can run an LED lamp, a 3-watt LED lamp, for 261 hours. So to give you some perspective on what an LED lamp does in terms of power draw, I have this 48-foot LED strand. It has 24 bulbs, and the Midland doesn't tell you your power consumption while you're using it. Not sure why. It would be probably a very simple thing to add, and I say that because Jackery figured it out in a smaller package. But if you plug these in, and these plug in with a standard 110 volt plug, if I can find it. Where is it? Let's see here. Oh, there it is. So these plug in with a standard plug, right? And if we plug this in here, we turn AC on, those lights are going to turn on. So this is saying for a 3-watt LED bulb, it can go up to 261 hours. Well, this is 24 bulbs, and they're pulling 33 watts, right? So I don't know what the math is on that, but it's going to, that's what, 7 times or 10 times, 11 times what that's saying for 1 bulb, and we have 24. So these are pulling what, about 1.5 watts a piece, which is pretty good. And these are very bright. So if you strung these around a tent at night or your tailgating setup or whatever, you're gonna have plenty of power. So, we're using, again, 32 to 35 watts, it's a 78% battery, and these will run all night, as long as you need them, right? Usually this time of year, you're probably running exterior light from 5:30 until you go to bed at, 11:30. If you're sitting around a campfire, you probably don't need the lights, and then you're turning those off earlier, right? So, long story short, it's going to power some of this stuff for a long time. So back to this Midland PPG1000, I wanted to go over some of the stats for those of you who are prone to geek out on some of these things. So the stats on here, and I'm going straight from the Midland book. Again, I'm not an expert on circuitry and batteries, and I can wire one of these up because it has 4 things sticking out. It's pretty simple. But it has a 1,000-watt inverter, a 924 watt-hour lithium-ion battery, obviously DC solar input, which we talked about, AC input. It's got a quick charge input. It's got two GFI outlets. It's got 2 standard 5-volt USBs. It's got 2 20-volt Type-C USBs. It's got your cigarette lighter adapter right here. And one thing it has on it that I didn't realize it had when I bought it, that's basically it, I'll go over some of that stuff, is it has a cool little light. So you can see these switches on the front, and they don't do anything, right? You can hear them clicking on and off, but they don't do anything until you turn the whole unit on. So you can hear the fan fire up. This thing came to me fully charged. I showed up at my house with 100%. I plugged it in and it didn't even do anything. I mean, it says charging, but it was fully charged. It has this LED light, which is really handy. because it gives you light on the whole surface. You know, when you're using the Jackery sometimes in the dark, you're kind of fishing around for where to plug stuff into because it's dark. Like it'll give you a little bulb right here that tells you that the USB bank of the power supply is on, but these aren't illuminated in any way like maybe they would be in your car, right? So it does make it difficult in the dark. So, but with this Midland unit, you got a light right here. You can kind of tilt it down, and this snaps closed. I have it open right now. But behind here, you have some storage for your power adapters and things like that, right? A lot of times, if you've ever used solar, you know that sometimes you got to bring a few adapters to get your solar to work with all the stuff you got. So this keeps it all in a nice, easy container. It does just snap closed with some easy snaps here. And then you can turn off your light, you can turn off your bank, and you can close it. And here's another reason why, come on, I went with the Midland unit over, a bigger Jackery. They make a bigger Jackery now. It's a 1000. It's got, I think, 3 ports here. It's got some USB Type C's. It's got more options. It's bigger. It's $1,000, but it's not rugged, right? You still can't throw it in the back of your pickup truck, throw it in the back of your Overland trailer, and hope for the best, right? You either got to put it in a case like this, or get one that's already in a case like this. So this thing weighs, I think, 25 pounds. It's in a Pelican style case. I don't think it's a Pelican brand, but it does have the pressure relief here. I've done a lot of work for the military and military style cases, and this is as good as any of those. When we were in the Marine Corps and I supported the Marine Corps, the things we looked for when we were PMing these cases is the rubber seal in good condition? Is it still spongy? Do you see any dry rot around where that seal was at? And you don't. Obviously you won't on this one, but it's because it's brand new, but it all feels like it's supposed to feel. This one I would have no issue throwing it in the back of my truck and either heading out, on the trail, heading out on a camping trip, going tailgating, and it's raining on the way there, or it's raining when you get there and you just want to put this out while you're getting everything set up under the tent. It's not going to hurt this thing while it's closed. While it's open, that's another deal. So, obviously this part can't get rained on. This part can't get wet, just like it can't with the Jackery, just like it can't with this Milwaukee, right? But while it's closed, it's sealed. So again, from a size perspective, comparing this to the Jackery 500, they're about the same size. The Jackery is maybe 5 pounds lighter, but this has double the size battery, so you can expect that. One thing that, I haven't really used this thing yet, I just got it the other day. One thing that I don't like about it, and I've already tried to come up with some ways to remedy, is, well, besides the fact that these USB things don't want to stay closed, which I don't really think is a big deal, but if you watch, they're kind of twerking right here, but whatever. Is you can't charge this with the lid closed, right? If the lid's locked on this, you're not charging it. So the power cord is here, and it's just a slim power supply. It has a USB port in it, which is pretty nice. So while you're charging, it technically gives you, a third place to charge a phone, which is, I'm not sure why it's there, but it works fine. I've tried charging my phone with it, and it works great. But not only can you not charge it while it's closed, but the power adapter sticks straight up in the air, right? So it sticks up like that, so it's even less room for it to close, right? So, and I don't think it's a deal breaker, I really don't, just because, it's not a big deal to leave it sitting like this and charging. What I went on Amazon and bought, though, are these little adapters here, and you can see they have an L, and it's just an extension cord, and I didn't even know they made these until I searched for them and found they do. But they're the same on both ends, and one's male, one's female. And it's instead of charging with that port sticking straight up, you can kind of loop this out the side and plug the power adapter into that, and you can see now it closes almost all the way. So I wouldn't latch it like that. It might latch, I wouldn't. but you can almost get it to where even maybe one side might be okay. And it's a lot smaller footprint, and you can probably still stack some stuff on top if you wanted to. You know, if you wanted to put a little spacer in there just to be safe, you know, like an ink pen, something, you could still stack stuff on here and it's not going to hurt it. I think if you were to do that with, and you can see just from a perspective, does that actually work? All right, that was a pain. All right, so you can see that these are charging, and it does. So these little extensions, and I think I paid like $5 for these for two of them. You can see these little extensions do work. The device is charging. Again, it doesn't take up as much room as this big, bulky thing sticking up does. So to me, it's kind of a bad design. But I can also see why they did it this way, right? To retain its waterproofness, if they were to put a port on the side, it's kind of begging or asking for trouble, because people are going to leave them open. You're going to have this issue right here where they're supposed to stay closed and they don't, and it's probably better that it's like that. It's just a minor inconvenience, right? You know, what I'd like to do is toss this in the back of my truck and have a power port back there, or even on my trailer. I have 12 volt going all the way back to the trailer. Is put in a 12 volt outlet on my trailer and just plug this into it and charge it while you're on the road that day. So, or on the trail that day. So, not a deal breaker. I think there's ways to work around it with a little spacer or something, but it is a minor inconvenience. Nothing major. And again, I don't think it's a deal breaker. So I did try and make coffee with it, which was my goal, and it worked with a regular drip coffee pot. Something like one of these. It works fine with this. Okay, it takes it the same amount of time it takes it when you're doing it in your house. This thing is 900 watts, and I made a full cup of coffee with this thing. I was like, well, if that works, let me try my Keurig. That was a big negative. So you cannot use a Keurig with this machine unless the water in your Keurig is already kind of warm. So it's that heat cycle, taking that water from cold all the way up to that boiling sound that a Keurig makes if you have one. It's that sound, or it's that heat cycle that draws too much power, and this thing just can't handle it. So, and it doesn't hurt it, or at least it doesn't seem to hurt it. What it does do is it just turns off, right? And it gives you an error on the screen, and you just have to power it off, leave it a second, and then power it back on. So, mission accomplished on I can now have coffee. It does use about 15% of the battery to brew that pot, that's pretty hefty, right? That's an expensive cup of coffee from a power consumption perspective. I have been searching online, and I have found a couple Keurig style, you know, they use these little K-cups. I have found a couple coffee cups that actually use way less power. They use less than this one, I think 700-800 watts, and it's for a much shorter period of time than that monster is going to draw. So I think we can get it down to about 6 to 7% of the battery instead of that full 15 to 20 like I saw when I was brewing with that. So, you know, this again is the Midland PPG1000. Love this thing. Cannot wait to get it out in the field and put it to use. These are available right now. Again, I think they're $500 off still, and if they're not, it's still a good deal, just because of the ruggedness that case gives you. So I'll if you follow me on Instagram, I'll definitely put some videos up there as we use it in the Jeep. We use it tailgating, we use it camping. So follow me on there. It's Sergeant Crush on Instagram. This is the box that it came in, lithium-ion battery. Again, it's solar compatible. They do make a fast charger for it. It's like 80 or 90 bucks that charges it in half the time. I think on normal power, house power, with the charger they supply, it takes about 16 hours from 0 all the way up. With the fast charger, it cuts that time in half. But The packaging on this was great. It showed up at my house great. It was actually in another box, and that box had no damage. My UPS guy's pretty good. He doesn't like throw stuff around like a lot of them have been known to do, or at least I've seen that they've done on people's internet posts. But this one showed up real nice. I highly recommend it. Again, not sponsored, but Midland makes great products. Check out their radios. Again, I run the MXT275 GMRS radio in my Jeep, and I love it. So what are some other options? We have Mic Ultra, and another thing that I've been toying with and have not done yet is setting up a battery system in the trailer that's always there. So this is a new battery I got for my Jeep, for my dual battery kit from Genesis. This is an Odyssey 34 PC1500, and I have 2 of these going in the Jeep. As soon as I bring in to get these installed and several other things done that I haven't done on my Jeep all year. But so what I'm looking at doing is getting 2 or 3 deep cell batteries, probably not these, because these are more starting batteries, but getting a few deep cell batteries, putting them together in a bank on the front of the trailer, and then hooking up some, I haven't worked all this out, but putting some kind of power system that's kind of portable, and then using these more for on the go type of stuff. So to where the solar charges that battery bank, and if these need to be charged, they can pull off of that battery bank if necessary, using the solar. So these would be secondary power to a primary supply in the trailer. So, I kicked around the idea of taking an old ammo can, kind of fitting that into the side of it. This has the same thing these do. It's got a couple USB ports here, it's got a 12-volt cigarette out light. Here it has a voltage meter, and it has several different switches on here with interchangeable, just like you would have with like an S-Pod, interchangeable switch covers. This one has LED light bar, spotlights, side lights, roof lights, driving lights, and zombie lights for the zombies. We have zombies around here, so pretty excited to try those out. But the cool part about it is it's already basically wired up, right? You got your ground, you have your power, which is the big wire, and then you have your switch light. So it's pretty, or your not your switch light, I'm sorry, your accessory. But it's pretty easy to install this stuff. They're really easy to set up. And then, out of this, you can run, put a port in the side and run that out to all your stuff, right? And it keeps everything pretty much waterproof. You can easily seal around this and go from there. So that's an option too. But there's a lot of different alternatives for power. And there's 50 other brands that make these things too, right? To me, Midland and Jackery are the top 2. There's Goal Zero. You have several eBay ones. Just go to Amazon and search portable power supply, and you'll get a myriad of power supplies out there. I go with what works. I go with what I've seen good reviews on, and that's why I have these. And I think it's good to also mix and match your brands to what works for you, right? So Jackery was great, but Jackery doesn't make a rugged power supply. They just don't. Midland does. Midland doesn't make a non-rugged power supply, right? They don't make one like this. They only make these. So you can tell who their crowd is, right? And who they're going to. I don't think it makes sense for another company to go into this market, because it's flooded with these type of power supplies. There's not a whole lot of these that are in a military style durable case. You can basically throw off the top of a building, and it's probably going to be okay. You can float it down a river, and it's probably going to be okay. That's not going to happen with these, but it's to each their own, right? I love this thing. I'm going to love that thing. Things you can't really power with these, either one of these, are a toaster. Not really going to work real well. Anything that heats up, a blow dryer, you're going to basically blow your whole power bank running any of those heating element type of things. Things that work great on these are fridges, TVs, LED lights, things like charging cell phones, camera batteries, drones, what else do we put on that we charge with them? We do our, we charge these little Milwaukee batteries off of these bigger batteries. It's kind of stupid, but sometimes you need the convenience of the small battery to where these aren't that convenient. So it depends on what your needs are and what you're trying to do. I hope this was helpful to everyone. If you have questions, please drop them below. If I screwed anything up, please let me know below. I'm not an expert on this. I'm just a guy who's figuring out what I need for me and my family when we're camping, when we're tailgating, and that kind of stuff. So if I have any information I missed, correct me in the comments, and I'll own up to that. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Give me a follow on Instagram, Sergeant Crush. I have a whole dedicated page for my Overland setup. That's Barracks HQ, and stay tuned for more. Let me know what you guys want to hear. Typical YouTube stuff. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. Appreciate it. Have a good one. Peace out.